شي شيبة رد الكرة شور الميدان الميدان لأول مرة شور الميدان الميدان لأول مرة أنا صحراوية أنا صحراوية نبقى واسبة لا ما فرّا والله لا دا يتمرق برا والله لا دا يتمرق برا أنا صحراوية أنا صحراوية ساقي العدد كم من مرة وطم الجاي واليحرى وطم الجاي واليحرى أنا صحراوي أنا صحراوية أنا صحراوية أنا صحراوية
No, David, I have not heard that. And that keeps happening. So let me check in on that real quick. How did you get on?
It added extra characters, so I just chopped off like the first couple characters at the beginning of it and
Ah,
typed in this link I just sent over, and that one worked. It just had a few extra things at the beginning that was messing it up.
okay. I'm gonna pop in real quick and try to uh, redo that for people. don't know why it does that. Okay. Yes, save and should be, yeah. Well, thanks, David, for pasting that, um, edited link. We'll give people a minute to join. Okay, I'm gonna get rolling. And this is the benefit of having things recorded. Okay, so a little orientation. Gonna give you our agenda. The timing's a little bit different now. So feel free to have your camera on or off. We are recording. You probably heard the Zoom voice letting you know that. And take another minute to just make sure you have everything you need. So I've got water. I've got movement space. I have a massage ball. I have some lavender oil. So there's also going to be a chance for like creative mulling over or reflection. So if you want journaling supplies or art supplies, you can grab those things. And when you all feel like you're pretty much ready to go, can you give me a little like emoji something, so that I can, that I know everybody's here for the most part. And I'm gonna go through a demo and a little bit of like opening, some opening things. So when you're ready, give me a thumbs up or something. Great. Couple thumbs up. Okay. Let's see. Everybody hear me okay? Volume pretty good? Okay, great. So I'm going to start with a brief opening prayer. You can join me in whatever way feels good for you. You can make any adjustments in your own world if you want to, in a way that's good for you. You're invited to sense into the spirit of gravity. Thank you so much to this force that we try to understand, that we try to measure, that we try to put in scientific terms, but really it's a fairly unfathomable, incredible force related to the mass movements of the cosmos, of the planet, of our planet spinning and orbiting around other bodies. So many currents occurring, moving at that big scale, and also at the individual, at the organism scale, in our own systems, in our own bodies. And of course, these human bodies that we're in grew and evolved in very attuned relationship to this spirit we might call gravity. Thank you so much, gravity. We're here to learn a little bit more about you, how we might play with you in a way that is beneficial for us as organisms, maybe as humans. Maybe there's some relevant social human realities that could learn a thing or two by remembering their connection to you. So I'm asking for a good session with everybody from the spirit of gravity, and also any other allies, other beings that are holding this container with us, that are playing with us, practicing with us. Thank you so much. It's good to be with all of you. And much gratitude also to ground. To ground. And ground, which is both the literal material ground that we're all accustomed to, but perhaps forget about or take for granted. The land that we touch, that we move across, that we lay down on. And then there is also what we might consider a spiritual ground, or an energetic ground, or a sacred ground that is still connected to this physical landscape ground that we're talking about, but is also has a spiritual life. And we might experience this internally as a core place where we can rest, where there is no need to effort, where everything finds its place, where everything remembers itself fully. Some kind of ground internally, and also all around us in this more subtle, more spiritual sense. Ground. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to all the ways that it's possible to land, all the ways that it's possible to bring every emotion, every sensation to a sense of ground, to a sense of center, maybe. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all those opportunities, for all those different ways that we can kind of melt into reality, be held by reality. As much as we're also afraid of that, it's really quite wonderful. Thank you so much. Hopefully we'll learn some things about ourselves and about you in this session. So already we're swimming with these elements. We're swimming with these spirits, gravity and ground, center, holding, nesting, landing. And it's possible that your body and your system already is responding to that, and already wants to lay down, already wants to begin to communicate with you. And so you can go with that. is being recorded, so if you miss some of the next things I say, that's okay. You can come back. But I do want to do a little bit of a demo for you. I want to talk a little bit about stability and distribution in this practice in particular. So I want to name that this practice has risen very organically in my life as a result of my own pleasure and curiosity, but also very much my own chronic pain. And I want to share with you some of the ways that I like to work with tension in the body. So there's a few options for how to work with tension in the body, and a few of those options include incorporating the voice, incorporating some kind of movement or shaking, finding other points of support, which I'll demo in a moment. And also, this is a little bit more, this is more on the subtle level, but expanding inside or around the tension. All right, so voice, movement, finding other places of support. This is a little more physical, it's a little more obvious, but there's also this wonderful subtle skill of expanding inside of the tension or around the tension. So to demo, on one level, I'm just really enjoying all my back body making contact with this fuzzy surface and this in the ground. There's already a feeling of distribution that has come and met me. I have been met by the ground. So that's the baseline that we're working with all the time, that you're invited to incorporate all of the time. The ground. And again, it can be the physical, literal ground that you're with. But it could also be a deeper sense of ground, perhaps the center of the earth. And also perhaps this primordial sense of ground or sense of center like we were talking about earlier. If that feels too complicated, don't worry about it. This practice will continue there's a lot of options inside of here. So keep it simple. When in doubt, just keep it simple. Connect to the ground that you're with. So as far as working with the tension in the body, there's some tension in my hips. And so I like to start by just gently bringing my attention to this area. So not actually doing anything, but warmly, like bringing a warm stream to my hip area. I'm bringing my attention. And already I start to feel energy move, and now my butt is like twitching, right? So that's other parts of my body starting to come in and help the energy that's in there travel. There's a yawning and I want to make some sound, and that's another way that I'm helping the energy travel and find its way to roll around. And now there's lots of like lower back and like inner thigh and buttocks like shaking happening. That feels really good. I'm just going to continue to let that happen. And so, based off of what I've just shown you, if that's enough for you to start playing on your own, or if you've already started playing on your own, that's great. Go for it. Otherwise, I'm going to keep offering a little bit of information about what my process, how my process is going. And, you know, this, like everything we do here, pretty much, there's an improvisational quality. So I'll offer some prompts as they arise. But for now, just playing with this assisting energy, locating both places that are feeling supportive, coming from the ground, being spread on the ground, maybe moving positions. Locating areas of tension, offering patience and warmth. And then playing with different ways you might provide support to that tension. There's been lots of activity in the hip area, and so now I'm feeling drawn. It feels like my body wants to create some tension in a good way, a new movement, a new pattern, a new configuration in the body by my hips rising and grounding into my feet. And that feels like that is supporting this process of finding new ways for that energy that's held as tension in the body to travel. And I'm finding that impulse to move that tension is like traveling down my back, up my shoulders. And now my head and neck are involved. Voice is wanting to come in now. Oh, I just love feeling the ground on my back and under my heels. I'm starting to feel like I'm really giving myself a ground massage. And like more of my body wants to play with the ground in that way. Oh yeah, ground massage. And that subtle skill that I was talking about earlier of expanding inside of the tension or around the tension. And the tension could also be pleasurable, it's not necessarily painful. So that practice, that subtle skill, includes usually slowing down even more, finding patience and an unconditional warmth, friendliness for that sensation, whatever you're working with. Slowing down, and almost like you drop into a pool. And once you enter inside that pool, you recognize that there is maybe an infinite degree of granularity, an infinite degree of tiny shifts that you can explore. And that can have an internal feeling to it, like you are going inside yourself, or you're going inside of the feeling. Or it can feel like you're welcoming the world into the feeling. You're allowing it to be porous, you're allowing it to be held, you're recognizing the many, many threads and webs that are connected to that feeling. And just continuing to breathe, continuing to feel the good feeling that comes from spreading yourself on the ground. And another way to increase your sense of granularity, your sense of many, many shifts, many micro sensations that are possible. Another way to do that is to recognize your impulse to do something. So maybe the desire or maybe the impulse coming from the body to move a certain way, or to begin to make sound, or to play with massage, and to not do it. And to first just relax inside of the impulse. Relax inside of the impulse and perhaps discover as you do that, that there is more space than you thought. And as you perhaps begin to allow yourself to slowly move toward allowing that impulse or that desire to happen, that the line between doing it and not doing it might disappear. There's a possibility of that, of being so relaxed and moving so slowly but maintaining your attention, that line between doing and not doing kind of blurs, might go away. It's not super clear. There might be a forgotten nutrient that shows up for you when you relax inside of the desire. You don't do it right away, but let yourself stretch out in the moments before you allow it to happen. Maybe there's a forgotten nutrient there for you. Letting go little by little any sense of deciding what to do. It's okay if you do that, but it might be fun. It might bring you a special kind of nutrient to let go of any kind of deciding. And instead, just move into pure allowing. Letting the ground hold you, letting your sense of spiritual ground hold you. We've been talking about tension in the body, which we might consider physical tension, but of course there's tension that's also in the body, but we might consider emotional. And the same principles work with that as well. So you can warmly grace your attention. You can warmly kiss that emotion or that feeling with your attention. And you can play with, or you can allow the voice or the body or the ground to help distribute any sense of saturation that doesn't feel so good with that emotion, with that feeling. So there might be little songs or there might be little dances that help that energy and that feeling to travel and to change in a good way. It might feel good to press against the ground, to play with tension consciously. Turning that into a dance. And of course, at any time, if you want to completely stop doing any of these things, you can just melt into the ground. You can be completely still. You can fall asleep. There might be a sense of shedding possible. Maybe you've noticed that already. Sense of shedding, dropping some things into the ground, dropping some things into the center of the earth, dropping some things into the maybe your own internal sense of center. Some things that maybe have been rotting for a while or breaking down. Noticing at this point, how are the spirits of gravity and ground talking to you right now? Are they trying to nudge you in a certain direction? Are they asking you to relax somewhere that maybe you can't quite see, but if you just say yes 5% more to that guidance coming from gravity and ground, you might unclench. And if you do notice little pockets and little moments of unclenching, just notice how your whole system begins to respond to that. Let any feeling of expansion travel, spread, inform, and talk to the rest of your system, the rest of your body. We have a few more minutes to play here. What else wants to happen? Can you expand inside of and around your sensations? How much can you do that? How much gradation can you perceive? How tiny are the shifts that you can notice? And can you allow that tracking, that noticing that warm attention, can you allow it to be like a dance? Can you smooth it out like poetry, which might not really be smooth, but it's like it's held. It's held by a feeling of artfulness, feeling of play, threaded through whatever you're doing. Finding the connection between one transition and the next. In this last minute or two, if it feels okay for you, you're invited to join me in playing with just how relaxed I can be, just how receptive. How receptive can we be to all the anything that felt good, anything that felt helpful? Slowing down here at the end to really receive fully the direct knowings that come from those helpful feelings and experiences, or anything else that's trying to reach you in this last minute or two. we're going to move into a few minutes of creative mulling over. So, playfully chewing on anything that came up in your experience in a creative way. So, you can take notes, you can journal, you could write songs, you could draw. We'll do that for 7 minutes. Okay, everybody, that's 7 minutes. We are also at 5 o'clock, so if you have to go, that is fine. I'm gonna stay a little longer because we got started a little later. I'd love to hear from people. See any arts that were made or hear about any highlights from your practice. But I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording.